Africa, home to over 1.4 billion people, a land rich in natural resources, brimming with potential. Yet, for decades, the continent has struggled with one of the most crucial pillars of development: energy. Today, we embark on a journey to explore Africa's past, present, and future in power generation. Africa, home to over 1.4 billion people, a land rich in natural resources, brimming with potential. Yet, for decades, the continent has struggled with one of the most crucial pillars of development: energy. Today, we embark on a journey to explore Africa's past, present, and future in power generation. Before the advent of modern electricity, African communities relied on firewood, charcoal, and rudimentary hydropower systems. For centuries, people depended on biomass wood, animal waste, and agricultural residue to generate heat for cooking and warmth. These methods, while traditional, came at a significant cost: deforestation, indoor air pollution, and health hazards. As colonial powers established control over Africa in the 19th and 20th centuries, energy infrastructure was built primarily to serve colonial administrations, industries, and settlements. Cities like Cape Town, Lagos, and Nairobi saw limited electrification, but rural areas remained largely untouched. Electricity was a luxury for the elite, while the majority of Africans continued to live without it. After independence, African nations sought to expand their power sectors. Governments invested in major hydroelectric dams, such as Ghana's Akosombo Dam in the 1960s, which provided electricity to urban centers and industrial zones. Nigeria's Kainji Dam followed, aiming to power the West African giant. Ethiopia embarked on ambitious hydropower projects, culminating decades later in the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a symbol of energy sovereignty. However, these efforts were often met with financial constraints, political instability, and inefficient energy policies. Infrastructure was neglected, power distribution was uneven, and corruption hampered progress. By the 1980s and 1990s, many African nations faced energy crises, unable to meet growing demand. The consequences were dire as stalled industrialization, reliance on expensive diesel generators, and widespread energy poverty became widespread problems. The numbers paint a stark picture: over 600 million Africans, nearly half the continent's population, lack access to electricity. Countries like Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya experience frequent power outages, known locally as load shedding. These blackouts disrupt industries, cripple economic productivity, and increase reliance on costly and polluting generators. Despite having some of the world's largest energy resources, including vast rivers, abundant sunlight, and wind corridors, Africa still struggles to harness its full potential. The World Bank estimates that Africa requires at least $40 billion annually in investments to bridge the energy gap. This money is needed not just for power generation, but also for transmission and distribution networks, which remain weak and underdeveloped. But why is the power sector struggling? Many African countries still rely on colonial-era power grids that were never meant to handle modern demand. Corruption, bureaucracy, and inefficient governance slow down investments in energy projects. Many governments cannot afford large-scale energy projects, and private investors often hesitate due to political instability. While Africa has oil and coal reserves, these are finite and environmentally damaging, making the transition to renewables costly and requiring careful planning. The challenge is clear. Africa must generate more power, distribute it more efficiently, and ensure it reaches all its people. But how? Enter renewable energy. Africa is one of the sunniest continents on Earth, with over 325 days of sunshine per year in many regions. This makes solar energy a game-changer. Countries like Morocco have embraced this opportunity. The NOAA Solar Complex, one of the largest solar power plants in the world, now supplies electricity to over 2 million people. In South Africa, the Kathu Solar Park is revolutionizing clean energy access. Hydropower remains another major player. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam is set to generate 6,000 megawatts of electricity, transforming the Horn of Africa's energy landscape. Meanwhile, Kenya is leading in geothermal energy, harnessing the natural heat beneath the Great Rift Valley. Narrator: the transition to renewable energy is gaining momentum, but the continent still faces hurdles. Despite its potential, Africa's shift to renewable energy is far from smooth. The biggest challenges include the high costs of infrastructure, as building solar farms, wind turbines, and hydroelectric dams requires billions in investment. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind are intermittent, and battery storage technology, while improving, remains expensive. Some governments still favour fossil fuels due to existing infrastructure and vested interests. Many rural areas remain off-grid, making centralised power supply difficult. So how can Africa overcome these challenges? The future is bright. Innovations are driving change across the continent. Off-grid solar solutions are transforming rural communities, with companies like M-KOPA and Borks providing pay-as-you-go solar energy, reaching millions of off-grid households. Mini-grids are powering villages in Tanzania, Nigeria, and Senegal. Advances in battery storage technology are allowing for better energy storage, ensuring power even when the sun isn't shining. Countries like Rwanda are pioneering electric mobility, reducing reliance on petrol and diesel. The African Union's Agenda 2063 envisions a continent powered by clean, reliable, and affordable energy. With innovation, investment, and collaboration, this vision can become reality. While much of Africa grapples with energy deficits, a few nations have made significant strides in achieving stable and reliable power supply. South Africa, despite its recent struggles with load shedding, has historically maintained one of the continent's most developed energy grids, primarily driven by coal power, but with increasing investments in renewables. Morocco stands out as a leader in renewable energy, boasting the world's largest concentrated solar power plant, Norwa Zozat, which contributes significantly to the national grid. Egypt has also transformed its power sector, investing heavily in natural gas, hydro, and renewable energy, allowing it to produce surplus electricity for domestic use and export to neighboring countries. These nations showcase how strategic investment in diverse energy sources can drive sustainability and economic growth. The road to energy independence is long and challenging, but Africa is moving forward. The sun rises on a new day, a new Africa. One powered by its people, its resources, and its ambition.